Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Dateable, a show all about modern dating. We say this from week to week, but we mean it. We're trying to dig into the whys of dating, why people do the things they do, damn it. We want to get to the bottom of it all. We got to get the answers, but that's why it makes working on this podcast so much fun, because I feel like we get new answers every week and my mind is just blown all the time. What are we doing this week? Like, what's happening this week? Why are we?
We're recording early, that's for sure, because I'm actually going away. I feel like I haven't left my house in how many months? 8 months? It's crazy. So
8 months? What are you?
March, April, May, June, July, August, it's fine. 6 months.
Like
That's
8 months.
fucking nuts, though. 6 months. Like, I know you haven't taken a ton of trips like you did the one last week, and I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you've seen your parents not necessarily from a leisure trip, but you did get out of your house at least.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm excited. I think I just like a friend of mine was like, let's go to Carmel. And I'm like, yes, let's do it. Like I'm a little concerned about the smoke. I'm a little concerned about COVID, but I'm just like, I'm just going to like take calculated risks and obviously be safe, wear a mask, all that. But
Yeah, just get
I'm
out.
looking forward to leaving. So thank you for doing this recording a day early or 2 days early. We usually do Sunday nights for anyone that's coming on, just so we're pretty fresh for when this releases on Tuesday night if you're a subscriber. So another reminder to become a subscriber so you get it early. But we're doing this today on Friday. So we're a little early before the weekend. Do you have any good plans this weekend?
I don't really have any plans this weekend, but I think you bring up a good point. Is like, at what point during these COVID times do you say fuck it and I still got to live my life? Like, it's just like for
Yeah.
those people who are, I equate it to people who are constantly on diets, who feel like they have to deprive themselves to get this body that they want. At what point is it not worth it because you're depriving yourself of the pleasures of like really good food? So I feel the same way about right now. It's like, I think we're all getting to that breaking point of saying, fuck it. I need to just do
I mean,
something.
I don't think it needs to be like fuck it completely because I think that's what's gotten this country in trouble when we've just gone total 180. But the way I look at it is this is probably the reality for a bit longer. Like this isn't going to just end until we have a vaccine like completely. And who knows when that will truly be. So can you take risks that like aren't major risks. Like, for example, I went back and forth the other week about going to a house in Sonoma and I was ready
Mm-hmm.
to do it. And then I found out someone was going to be taking a plane from Atlanta to Sonoma. And that made me very uncomfortable because it
Right.
really like kind of took away all the tests that everyone was doing. And, it's like, I know you can't like planes supposedly aren't necessarily detrimental, but it's taking someone from a totally different environment. Like who knows what they're going to come in contact. Their test they did basically is useless because they just got on a plane with a bunch of people. So I think this one, while I'm still a little nervous, I'm not going to say I'm totally like at ease. I do feel better because it's one person. I think it's just taking those, like figuring out what your comfort level is, and it's only 2 days, right? Like I think the other thing is I was
Yeah.
going to be gone for 2 weeks. So maybe starting off on like a 2-day one is probably like a better bet. So it's just easing back in and figuring that out. I mean, I've been going to a lot of restaurants and such because I do need some normalcy back in my life.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of normalcy, I think I'm getting a little abnormal due to
Were you
some
always?
news.
I'm just kidding.
I know, I've been normal for years. But this weekend, when you asked me what I'm doing, I got a little bit of news from my landlord. So it's always been a little wonky for anybody who lives in like big cities. Sometimes you have like a weird landlord situation where you're like, are you really my landlord? Or like, do I
Right.
really own my apartment? So my landlord, as it turns out, is not the owner of my apartment. He is the manager of my apartment.
Mm.
I basically found this out maybe 2 years after living in that apartment. And recently I got the news that the owner had passed away. And he
Oh,
has no family. He has no spouses or no kids, nobody to pass down the apartment to. So it went to his estate. And the latest news I got from my quote unquote landlord is that they're selling my apartment.
Oh, shit.
They need me to get out. And I've been dreading this day for so long because I love my apartment. It's such a good deal. It's in a great location. You know, we've done some
I thought if nothing
recordings.
else, it could be like our future podcast studio. I'm so pissed too.
And I tried really hard to make an offer and say, I'll buy the apartment if that's what you're looking for. I think they're trying to figure out what to do with it. But in the meantime, because the apartment building is so old, the upkeep of that apartment is actually more than the rent that I'm paying.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So they're like, get the fuck out because we're losing money by having you as a tenant.
Can they do that? You should look into like your legal rights.
Probably. Yeah. I think, yes, I agree. I think I could just squat there. I mean, San Francisco is so tenant friendly that I could squat there forever if I wanted to, but it is giving me the kick in the butt that I need to, I don't know, take a next step in life and move out of this era of my life in San Francisco. So this weekend I ordered a bunch of moving boxes. I'm going to start packing. I'm trying to do this in piecemeal so that by the end of the month, I will have everything packed. So that's what I'll be doing this weekend is packing.
Got it. Are you going to just move in permanently with your boyfriend or have you guys not figured it
out? Well, everything is kind of up in the air. So there are going to be a lot of changes in the next month or two, but I'm excited. I think this is just exactly what I needed. I felt like a change was coming and a change is definitely happening. It's being forced upon me.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
lots of things happening.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. When did you find out?
I found out probably a month ago. And also this is the other crazy thing about my landlord. And Julie, you kind of know some of this. He doesn't believe in texting or email. He's like not a tech savvy guy. He's older. So he writes me notes or he types on his typewriter and leaves the notes at my door. And I'm never home. So I only get the messages when I go home like once a month. So I don't know how long that note's been on my door. And he also likes to respond to everything through typing it on his typewriter and printing it out. It's so crazy. I'll text him and he'll respond through analog ways. It's very strange. But yeah, I found out in my mind a month ago, but he could have posted that like months ago. Who knows?
Got it. Well, back to dating news.
Yeah.
I have a virtual date tonight that I'm very excited about. So I've been chatting with someone and I feel like we've had a really good connection through text. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I was supposed to do it last night. And I actually asked if we could reschedule because this is so dumb, but I stayed up till like 3 a.m. the night before watching Normal People.
Oh my gosh.
That show is so fucking good.
Obviously.
So I was so tired though the next day because I stayed up to 3 like a dumbass. So like by the time we were supposed to do the call, which was like 9, I was like half asleep. So I'm like, hey, I'll still like if like you can't do it tomorrow, like I definitely want to chat with you and like I don't want this to be like, I'm flaking or anything like that. But if you're flexible, like could we do tomorrow? And he was totally accommodating. It was really nice. I like really appreciate when people are just open, I mean, I get it. It's like no one wants to do the last minute cancel, but I also was like, I want to present myself the best I can. And if I'm like half asleep, like that's not a good look either.
Yeah.
So I really do. I really love it. Like when people are open and flexible. So I think it's one of those things too that I have to give myself a reminder sometimes. It's because sometimes we're quick to be like, oh, I'm not a priority if this person like cancels last minute or does something. But the reality is you're not a priority at this point. Like you barely know this person. So it's kind of like, it's one of those things that it's like how someone reacts like in a relationship. Like you want someone that can be flexible, that might not be like so tit for tat that it needs to be like on their schedule 100%. So I think seeing that flexibility a bit in early dating is so important.
And I think the other lesson that we've learned from some of our past guests is you always want to put your best foot forward when you go on dates. So if you had like a terrible day at work, if you got in a fight with your mom, don't go on a date because that's like, you're not going to have a good time. You're guaranteed. So even like if if you are to reschedule your date, I think what you did was like fantastic. And you just have to explain why this is
Right.
happening. It has nothing to do with them. It's just, I really want to be present the best version of myself when I get on this virtual date with you.
Absolutely. And I think like he too was like the way you said it really makes me feel like, like open to doing it. Like I
Mm-hmm.
think if you're just like vague and that's
Yeah.
when shit like really like people don't understand your motivation, that's when things really start, like people start to make the stories up in their minds.
Yeah. Yeah. Answer the why before they ask.
Exactly. So yeah, we'll see
Agree.
how it goes. But I think both of us are like, hey, we enjoy talking to each other. If nothing else, like we'll get to know a new person. And that's really
Yeah.
all you can do with dating anyways.
And if this guy works out pretty well, he should listen to this episode that we have this week because it's all about being a good boyfriend or at least being a good partner. And it's the little
Exactly.
things. That's what we learned in this episode. It's the little things. It's not like the grandiose gestures. It's the little things you do on a daily basis. They really add up. And it starts from early dating too. You don't have to be a couple to do these little things for each other. I even think what you did with him, just giving him that gesture of, I respect you. I want to be my best self for you. That's a little thing too.
Yeah, I mean, I think the little things, I love this topic. And I remember actually meeting this guest in real life. And he was like, someone was like, oh, you got to meet Julie. She does a podcast. And he was like talking about this experience. And I'm like, there's something really interesting here because I feel like so many podcasts and so many like groups that are just like, oh, men are the worst. They suck, blah, blah, blah. And I think one of the things that we've learned a lot from this podcast where we have about like 40% men is that they
Mm-hmm.
are dealing with the same struggles that women are. It just sometimes we like process it different.
Yeah.
And I think like hearing someone that really was like, I want to do something good for my partner. Like I want to be a good person. Like I want to make them happy. Like it's refreshing to hear that because there's so much noise out there of just like how men suck and all that. And that's just
Mm-hmm.
not like if you are pursuing a heterosexual relationship, like that mindset is just not going to help. Like, how is that going to help to have your partner that you're finding as the enemy?
Yeah. And I constantly think about this too, because, among friends, you always hear what their spouses and their significant others have done for them. And it's always like the big gestures because those are newsworthy. Nobody's going to be like, oh, my boyfriend opened my yogurt for me knowing that I wanted some yogurt. Like that's not
Right.
newsworthy, but that could mean a lot to you. And this weekend, I listened to an interview on Howard Stern with Trevor Noah, who I have to add him to our list of
Oh,
celebrity,
yes. Hands
dream
down.
celebrity guests.
Hands down.
I would actually put him at the same level as Eliza Schlesinger because I really would love to talk to him. So Howard Stern asked him, how many times have you been in love? He's 36 years old, okay? And he said 10 to 12 times.
Oh, wow.
And Howard Stern was like, how is that possible? Because you've never been married. And he's like, success in love and relationships is not measured by these big milestones. Is that I've
Mm-hmm.
had these wonderful, loving, passionate relationships with 10 women who I still love. And that's what I measure as success. And I really love the way he said it. He's like, it's not that just because I'm not married doesn't mean I'm not successful in my love life. I've given myself to 10 women who I still respect and I still treasure. So yes, Trevor Noah, if anybody knows him, please let us know. We would love to get him on Dateable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like he is, yeah, and it's so true what he said. And it's funny because like with my ex, like one of the things that we did, I mean, we talked openly about this stuff in general, but one of the things we did is kind of like a parting ceremony per se
Yeah.
is like what was our favorite experiences with each other. And like some of the ones that we both said were just like these like kind of like loving moments. Like one that like always stands out for me is like he just like, like one time I was in the other room and he's like, come into the bathroom. And he like put out candles everywhere and like
Oh,
drew a bath. And it was like one of those like, it's not, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to pay anything. Like it's
nope.
super easy, but it's like little things like that show that the other person's taking care of you in a way. And I think that stuff really does go so far. And it's stuff you remember for a lifetime.
And speaking of memories, here's our would you rather from last week, because I find this super fascinating. The would you rather question last week was, if you had to lose a memory, would you rather lose a memory of losing your virginity or your biggest heartbreak?
Ooh.
Okay, so first of all, I think everyone had a different take on this. Everybody always has a different interpretation of these would you rathers, but it's based on whether you thought about the memory itself or the consequences of that. And we had so many people in our Facebook group flip-flop back and forth. They said, "Oh, first I chose for losing my virginity, and then I changed my mind and I went to heartbreak because I realized my biggest heartbreak, although it was so hurtful, it taught me so many life lessons that have shaped me into who I am. So if I don't remember that, then I wouldn't have carried those lessons with me."
Absolutely. And I think that was my thought process through the whole thing. I think at first I was like, oh my God, my heartbreak was so horrible. Like I remember just like not being able to get out of bed. Like it was so bad. But then at the same time, like I would not have gone to therapy. I would not have become more introspective. I would not have done this podcast probably. Like my whole life would be different. And also just like what I learned from that relationship, and like kind of back to what Trevor Noah was saying, is even if things don't end in like marriage or that you're together forever, that's still such a core part of my life that I would never take back. Even though there was hurt that came with it, there was also so much love and happiness that came from it. So I would agree. I would probably take back my virginity. You know, like honestly, that memory, like it wasn't even that great of a memory for me. Like it was like, whatever, like it was with this boyfriend I had that was fucking a piece of shit, to be honest. Like he like kissed another girl in front of me once, like because I wasn't giving him enough attention. Like it was like, you know, we're young, it's like people are dumb. I don't need that memory.
Yeah,
like,
you're like, no, I could go without that.
Bad. I mean, honestly, like losing my virginity wasn't like detrimental or anything like terrible. It just was kind of like take it or leave it memory. So
yeah. So is that your answer then?
Yeah, I would choose to lose that.
Like, yeah, you can go without it. We did have some people comment and say that losing their virginity was the first time they thought about their own sexuality and their relationship to sex and how empowered they felt. So some people really felt like losing their virginity was more of a milestone in their life versus that heartbreak. So it really, again, it just depends on the consequences of that memory and what that served for you. But it just shows you everything is a domino effect. If you, I mean, I think a lot of people after reading this question thought about, if I remove that memory, what would my life be like now? And it probably would be a little different, right? The way you think about yourself and your relationship to other people. So it's a fascinating list of responses that we got. I would also choose my biggest heartbreak. Oh no, I would choose losing my virginity as a memory I could lose, because I think my biggest heartbreak has catapulted me into being a much better person and a much better partner that I don't think I would have gotten there without it. But I would also say, like, I don't actually remember losing my virginity. I don't remember the exact moment.
Yeah. I mean, I do, but it wasn't like a moment that like I think about. Honestly, I haven't thought about it since you posed this question. So I think about the heartbreak though a lot. So I think, yeah, that probably answers itself.
It could also be because of our age, Julie. Like, I think if you answer this question when you're like 20, you're like, oh, okay, that was.
No, for sure. For sure. So what were the polls? What did people say?
So the results were 47% of people chose to lose the memory of losing your virginity, and 53% chose their biggest heartbreak. So pretty even, actually.
Interesting.
But the numbers kept flip-flopping back and forth. I was like keeping an eye on it as a play-by-play of like 50% and then 60%. And it kept flip-flopping, but always kind of equal. And it was the same on our Facebook group too. Yeah, super interesting. And if you want to be part of the discussion, join our Facebook group if you haven't yet. Do you have FOMO yet? Because we keep talking about our Facebook group. It's called The Love in the Time of Corona by the DATEABLE Podcast. we have the most fascinating discussions about everything, not just dating, like everything related to relationships.
I'm constantly amazed by the people in that
Constantly.
group. Like I just love having that direct line to our listeners too, and just hearing what's going on in their lives. So yeah, definitely join the Facebook group. If you're not with us on Instagram already, we also announced on Facebook group and Instagram that last week was our 200th episode.
Oh, yes.
So if you're, you got to get there to get all the insiders info. So, and we're just, we loved Instagram. You can slide into our DMs. We definitely
Anytime,
always
baby.
try to talk back. It might be a day or two delayed, but we always try our best to get that response back to you. So yeah, those
The
are kind
type
of,
of the type of DMs I love, I don't know about you, Julie, but the ones I love are like stream of consciousness. The people
oh
are like,
yeah.
I was just listening to your episode and I thought of this. I love it. It's in real time. And that's
Yeah,
just
and
so
then the
fun.
last kind of announcement we always do is leave that rating and review. It helps us so, so much. You guys don't understand. This is like what makes it or breaks it with podcasts. And we know there's more listeners that have left reviews, like a lot more. So if you haven't yet, it takes literally 1 second to leave that rating. It's hit 5 stars and then you can be done. But if you want to give us that extra love, like leave us a 1 or 2 liner. Like we'd love reading those.
Yes. Makes me feel so warm and fuzzy. Another line of communication with us would be through our YouTube channel. We have a brand new YouTube channel. It's called Dateable. So if you've been part of the Dateable podcast YouTube channel, we're shutting that down. We're migrating everything over to the Dateable channel where we'll post all of these, what we're calling Dateable chats is what you're listening to right now, but it'll be on video. Okay, ready for this episode? All about the little things you can do to become a good partner, not just a good boyfriend, but a good partner. So take it away, Vasant.